Have you ever noticed a persistent itch that seems to nag at you no matter how many times you scratch or how much lotion you slather on? It might appear on your lower legs, near your shoulder blades, across your palms, on your scalp, under your feet, or even behind your ears. Most people assume these minor irritations are just a part of aging or a result of environmental factors, but sometimes the body uses these itches as a cryptic message, signaling potential issues that are far more serious than dry skin alone. This script will guide you through various key areas of itchiness, explaining how each one can be a window into deeper concerns. By the end, you'll be able to recognize what your body might be trying to tell you and take steps to address problems before they escalate. In day-to-day life, it's easy to shrug off these itchy signals. We reach for creams, switch detergents, or blame the weather. Yet certain spots on your body, when they itch persistently, can reflect underlying imbalances in circulation, nerve function, organ health, or metabolism. When these signals are ignored, the repercussions might not be immediate, but over the months and years, they can accumulate. A minor itch can hint at circulatory issues that eventually lead to increased stroke risk, or nerve compression that could balloon into debilitating back pain. Understanding these signals early can help you maintain a better quality of life and possibly extend your longevity. Imagine the lower legs. For example, how many times have you felt that annoying itch around your shins or ankles? Often, we chalk it up to wearing socks that are too tight or just that typical dryness older adults face. But if it persists long after you switch socks or apply moisturizers, the culprit might be a slowing circulatory system. Blood flow to the legs can diminish as we age, and if your circulation weakens, you might notice not only dryness and flakiness, but also swelling and persistent itching. This is your body's way of hinting that your vascular system could use some support, perhaps more movement, better hydration, or an overall healthier diet. For some, it can even be a precursor to conditions like peripheral artery disease, which raises your risk of heart complications. If left unaddressed, the cascade of problems grows, since circulation impacts everything from wound healing to the health of your heart muscle. There's a real-life example that often comes up in medical discussions. An older individual who felt mild itching every night around the ankles, steadily getting worse over a 6-month period. They assumed it was just normal dryness. Then they noticed that pressing a fingertip into the front of the shin left a lasting indent. This subtle signal, called pitting edema, revealed fluid retention and compromised blood flow. A consultation confirmed early peripheral artery disease because it was caught early. Interventions like supervised exercise, dietary changes, and medication helped restore healthier circulation. The itching subsided, and the individual sidestepped a future filled with more severe complications. Another commonly overlooked itch happens in the upper back. Picture the spot between the shoulder blades that's so difficult to reach. Many older adults experience a stubborn itch there that never quite goes away. They try new lotions, use back scratchers, and even rub against corners of walls like a bear rubbing against a tree. Sometimes this is indeed just a tricky patch of dry skin, but in other scenarios, it's rooted in nerve compression. Spinal discs lose hydration as we age, and vertebrae can subtly shift position, pinching nerves that run through the upper back. This condition, called notalgia paresthetica, can cause persistent itchiness accompanied by a numb or tingling sensation. Because the cause is nerve-related rather than on the skin's surface, scratching rarely helps for long. One individual, a woman in her late 60s, noticed this unrelenting itch under her right shoulder blade. She found some fleeting relief by pressing the area against a doorknob, but the itch returned daily. After a friend urged her to see a doctor, scans revealed mild disc degeneration that was impinging on a nerve. Physical therapy and specific exercises helped relieve the compression, allowing her spine to decompress, and the itch faded over time. If left unchecked, that spinal degeneration could have worsened her posture, reduced her mobility, and triggered chronic pain. The itch was essentially a clue that her spine needed attention. Equally surprising is when itchy palms crop up for no apparent reason. Often, people assume they have contact dermatitis from handling cleaning products, or that they're just washing their hands too frequently. While those might be factors, persistent palm itch can also hint at liver irregularities. The liver filters toxins and produces bile. So if bile salts accumulate due to poor liver function, they can cause itching in areas like the palms or soles of the feet. The sensation can be more intense at night when the body's processes shift during rest. Some individuals discover mild liver problems through this exact symptom long before other signs like fatigue, weight changes, or jaundice appear. Consider a gentleman who realized his palms were intensely itchy almost every evening. He tried every hand cream he could find, switched soaps, even started wearing gloves for certain household tasks. Nothing worked. An eventual blood test revealed that he had elevated liver enzymes and early signs of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. By focusing on a balanced diet, reducing added sugars, saturated fats, and processed foods, plus staying hydrated and adding moderate exercise, he not only helped his liver function, but also noticed the itching subside. Early intervention here was key. Left unaddressed, liver problems can escalate into cirrhosis or more severe complications. The scalp, meanwhile, is a spot many people don't connect with internal health. An itchy scalp is routinely blamed on dandruff or on a reaction to hair products. But if there's no visible flakiness, dryness, or rash, you might wonder whether something else is going on. Chronic, stubborn scalp itching can be linked to blood sugar imbalances. High blood sugar over an extended period triggers inflammation throughout the body, which can manifest in various ways, including skin irritation and dryness. Though an itchy scalp seems trivial, it might actually be your body nudging you to monitor your fasting glucose. Addressing dietary imbalances early can prevent progression to prediabetes or full-blown type 2 diabetes, both of which can severely impact overall health. There was a case study of a woman who had no apparent issues with her scalp, no flaking, and no rash, but an almost daily urge to scratch. She tried changing her shampoo and conditioning routine, even asked her hairdresser for advice about possible allergic reactions to color treatments. Eventually, she mentioned the problem in a routine health check, and her doctor advised a blood test. The results showed borderline elevated blood sugar. By making modest changes to her diet, like cutting down on sugary beverages and snacks, and by incorporating walks after meals, her scalp itch gradually diminished. Within a couple of months, she saw her glucose levels improve, which likely spared her from complications down the road. Few places can be as aggravating to feel an itch as the soles of your feet. When that nagging sensation surfaces, it's tempting to blame things like athlete's foot, cheap socks, or simply sweaty shoes. But recurring itching in this area, particularly at night, can be an early sign of peripheral neuropathy. The nerves in your feet are often among the first to show distress when there's an issue with circulation or elevated blood sugar, both of which can damage nerve endings. Neuropathy frequently begins with tingling or itching before progressing to numbness or pain. If the roots of the condition go untreated, you may face higher risks of injuries, infections, or even foot ulcers because diminished sensation means wounds aren't always noticed promptly. There was a notable example of a retiree who wrote off his nightly foot itching as a strange quirk. Even though it interrupted his sleep, he assumed it was nothing serious. Over time, though, it became more persistent, and he started noticing his feet often felt cold. A doctor's visit revealed mild peripheral neuropathy linked to high blood sugar that was edging toward prediabetes. By making strategic lifestyle changes, reducing refined carbs, scheduling consistent moderate walks, and paying closer attention to foot care, he warded off more severe diabetic complications. The itching gradually lessened, highlighting the importance of viewing a nagging itch as a puzzle piece rather than a random inconvenience. Another area that doesn't get much daily attention is behind the ears. People sometimes discover an itch in that spot when they're putting on their glasses or combing their hair, then quickly forget about it. Yet persistent itching there can indicate hormonal imbalances, seborrheic dermatitis, or even kidney stress in more unusual cases. The region behind the ears can trap sweat and residual hair products, leading to minor irritation. But if thorough washing and mild skincare routines don't help, it pays to consider internal factors. Seborrheic dermatitis often flares in areas with more oil-producing glands, such as the scalp, eyebrows, and behind the ears, and it can be triggered by hormone stress or immune system fluctuations. Sometimes people also discover that minor kidney issues produce dryness and itching in hidden creases around the body. One woman noticed a strange patch of itchiness behind her left ear for months and assumed it was from using headphones too much. She cleaned the area meticulously, used different shampoos, and replaced her headphones with earbuds. Still, the itch lingered. Eventually, a dermatologist determined she had a mild form of seborrheic dermatitis fueled by hormonal shifts. With a few topical treatments and some changes in her diet aimed at reducing inflammatory foods, the itching quieted down. Had she shrugged it off indefinitely, more extensive irritation could have spread to other areas, complicating her daily comfort. In reflecting on these areas, the lower legs, upper back, palms, scalp, soles of the feet, and behind the ears, it becomes clear that persistent itching can be far more complex than it appears. Each location is linked to specific body systems, from circulatory and nervous to metabolic and hormonal. The body systems are intricately connected, so a small signal in one place can be the first red flag for a more serious issue elsewhere. That's why it's so important not to dismiss recurring itches, especially if they're localized, persistent, or resistant to simple remedies like moisturizing. Now, you might be wondering what to do if you recognize one of these itch patterns in your own life. Firstly, don't panic. Not every itchy sensation is an automatic sign of a dire condition. Our environment, diet, hygiene routines, and unique health factors can all contribute to random itching. But if you notice it recurring in the same spot day after day, week after week, consider keeping a small journal. Note down when the itch appears, whether it's worse at a certain time of day, any changes in your routine, and any additional symptoms like swelling, redness, or numbness. This information can be extremely helpful when you talk to a healthcare professional, as it provides context they can use to determine whether tests like blood work or imaging might be warranted. If your doctor confirms there's an underlying condition, such as impaired circulation, elevated liver enzymes, or prediabetes, addressing it sooner rather than later is vital. Early interventions can range from dietary adjustments to physical therapy, or from targeted supplements to medication. These steps often not only resolve or alleviate the itching, but also fortify your health in ways that reduce the likelihood of more serious outcomes in the future. In some cases, simply drinking more water, adding short walks to your day, or cutting back on sugary snacks makes a huge difference. The synergy between different parts of the body underscores why something as seemingly trivial as an itch can carry significance. For instance, poor circulation in the lower legs can also affect your heart, while elevated bile salts not only cause itchy palms, but can also reflect a stressed liver that influences digestion, metabolism, and toxin clearance. Elevated blood sugar doesn't just make your scalp itch. It can quietly damage blood vessels that feed every major organ. Each of these conditions can snowball into others if left unmanaged. Beyond physical factors, there's also an emotional or mental component to persistent itching. Constant discomfort or irritation can disturb sleep, cause stress, and even dampen daily motivation. Imagine trying to focus on a conversation or a task at hand when something on your body itches relentlessly. Over time, this can wear on you, creating a cycle of fatigue and anxiety that may weaken your immune system and overall resilience. Recognizing these patterns early is an act of self-care. It's a reminder that we don't always need a glaring, acute health crisis to start making changes. Small warnings like recurrent itching can prompt us to reflect on our habits. Are we hydrating enough, eating the right variety of foods, staying active, and managing stress? Checking in with these questions can have a ripple effect on other aspects of our well-being. Sometimes, in resolving that itch, we adopt healthier practices that provide benefits well beyond comfort. If you know anyone in your life, a friend, neighbor, or family member who frequently complains about an itch in any of these spots, gently suggest they keep an eye on it or discuss it with a healthcare professional. It's far better to discover that everything is fine than to let a potential issue go unnoticed and develop into something more serious. And if the itch does stem from a deeper issue, early detection is your best ally. It's also useful to remember that addressing these issues isn't just about preventing diseases or conditions. It's about improving your day-to-day quality of life, waking up without a nagging itch on your scalp, going for a walk without that irritating shin sensation, or being able to rest in the evening without the bottoms of your feet feeling strange. These are small joys that greatly enhance our overall sense of well-being. We deserve to move through life with as little discomfort as possible, especially when that discomfort might be hinting at something we can correct. Another point worth noting is that the human body is intelligent, but it needs our collaboration. An itch can be its language for help, but we need to listen. Sometimes that itch is merely saying, moisturize me, but other times it's saying, check your blood sugar. It could be drawing attention to your circulation, your spine, your liver, or your skin's needs. By learning to interpret these signals more accurately, we empower ourselves to care for the body in a holistic, proactive way. Some people worry about what others might think if they constantly bring up a recurring itch, or if they visit the doctor for something that seems minor. But advocating for your well-being is never trivial. The only mistake would be to let hesitation or embarrassment keep you from investigating potential health issues. Many serious conditions start quietly with vague symptoms that are easy to overlook. By the time more extreme signs appear, the condition may already be advanced. So view these repeated itches as an invitation to be proactive rather than reactive. If you discover, for instance, that your scalp itch is related to rising blood sugar, you might adopt small but meaningful daily routines, cutting back on sugary drinks, adding a brisk walk, or prioritizing vegetables in your meals. If your itchy palms lead you to unearth a liver enzyme imbalance, you might focus on more fiber, moderate exercise, and possibly reduce or eliminate alcohol. Should an itchy spot in your upper back highlight a spinal alignment issue, practicing targeted stretches or yoga could spare you years of pain or immobility later. Similarly, noticing that your lower legs are chronically dry and itchy might encourage you to monitor your cardiovascular fitness, keep an eye on blood pressure, and consult a specialist if needed. As we bring this exploration to a close, reflect on any chronic itching you've experienced. Have you ever had an itch that just didn't make sense, one that regular lotions, soaps, or even antihistamines couldn't resolve? Sometimes the body whispers rather than shouts. Think of these whispers as an early, gentle nudge, a signal that something might be slightly off kilter. It might be minor, or it might be the beginning of a more serious issue. Either way, it's worth listening to. Taking the time to evaluate these signals is a form of self-respect, an acknowledgement that your health matters enough to warrant attention to the small things. Often, addressing little concerns prevents them from turning into big ones. You don't have to do it alone. Healthcare providers, nutritionists, physical therapists, and other professionals are there to guide you, help interpret your symptoms, and create a supportive plan. Whether it's working on better nutrition, adding safe exercises, or simply staying vigilant about changes in your body, each step can improve your daily experience and overall longevity. In the end, your body is on your side. It wants to keep you functioning at your best. An unexpected itch is sometimes just an annoyance, but it can also be the catalyst for important discoveries. If you find yourself repeatedly scratching the same spot with no relief, pause for a moment and consider that your body might be speaking in a quiet code. Decoding that message could lead you to the exact lifestyle shifts or medical insights that keep you healthy and comfortable for years to come. Don't underestimate the power of these subtle signs. Tune in, stay curious, and be ready to take action when your body signals that something deeper could be unfolding. As we consider all these aspects, it's also helpful to remember that our environment and habits can amplify or reduce these signals. Factors like temperature, humidity, or even the soaps and shampoos we use can layer on top of underlying physiological issues. That's why it's essential not to jump to conclusions too quickly. Sometimes an itch truly is just an itch, but being watchful and taking note of when and how it happens enables you to separate short-term external causes, like a new laundry detergent, from long-term internal imbalances. For instance, you might notice that your lower legs itch more intensely when you haven't been moving around much or after a particularly salty meal, which might contribute to water retention. Observing patterns like this can guide you to make little changes, such as standing up more frequently throughout the day, reducing your salt intake, or wearing looser clothing that doesn't cut into your ankles. These small adjustments can have a significant impact on mitigating that persistent itch, and they also serve to improve overall cardiovascular health. In the same vein, an itchy scalp might flare up after a meal rich in refined carbohydrates, hinting that your body is struggling with sudden spikes in blood sugar. Perhaps you'll notice you're thirstier than usual or feeling more fatigued. These seemingly unrelated clues all tie together in an intricate tapestry of physiological signals. Recognizing these connections gives you the power to pivot before things spiral into more serious issues like metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes. Even with nerve-related issues, there are subtle daily factors that can worsen or improve symptoms. If you experience that prickly sensation in your upper back, you might observe it intensifies after you've been sitting at a desk for too long, hunched over a computer. Taking short breaks to stretch, doing gentle spinal exercises, or investing in a more ergonomic chair can ease spinal compression and possibly reduce that persistent itch or discomfort. Each of these actions builds on the foundational idea that your body is responsive to how you treat it moment by moment. This attentiveness extends to emotional well-being as well. Chronic stress has a way of exacerbating itching because it elevates cortisol levels, weakens the immune system, and can leave the skin more reactive to both internal and external triggers. If you're going through a stressful period, perhaps dealing with family, finances, or other burdens, it might be worth noting if certain itchy areas become more severe during these times. Techniques like mindfulness, controlled breathing, or even short meditative practices can help rein in stress responses and sometimes alleviate stress-related itch flare-ups. At the end of the day, all these strategies boil down to an intentional, curious approach to your own health, viewing persistent itch as an invitation to explore your physical and mental state can transform what might have felt like a pesky nuisance into a constructive pathway toward better self-care. When you listen closely to these bodily cues, you create an opportunity to catch potential problems early, make simple changes that yield profound benefits, and ultimately nurture a life that feels more balanced and comfortable.